Hello, and welcome to the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast. It is Tuesday, May 17th. Liverpool win the FA Cup. They're on for the fuck off. City nearly bottle it. Leeds hang on in the play of the season. But first, Mike, top four. It's on Spurs now. You're favored. We'll talk about Arsenal and where they went. How are you feeling?
I'm in shock. I don't know why Arsenal showed up finally. They're just late. I would say that it was Spursy, if not for there has to be a word about Mikel Arteta because he just bitches and complains so much all of the time, all season long, and the bottom falls out. Like he's gone in, 5 days from wow, coach of the year candidate to
we
get
said
the
it,
fuck out,
right? Yeah,
get out. He stinks. And he doesn't take accountability for when shit goes wrong. That's either his fault or his own club. He's an idiot, and he deserves to be sad for all of his days. And I'm happy that Newcastle delivered. I didn't get overly excited when Spurs stomped on Arsenal on Thursday. I mean, it was a thumping. Understood the red card. I'll say this. I thought the penalty was pretty soft. The red card was undeniably you almost knocked. That was what should have happened to Rudiger with De Bruyne last year. So that, I mean, notwithstanding, it was one. I've seen Spurs not show up for big games like that. Arsenal just didn't show up, and it was awesome. But so I even said, I was like, look, they're going to kick the shit out of Arsenal. I genuinely believe that, but I don't think it's going to matter because they're going to win their next.
Well, now it matters. You got
all you need.
Does a draw get you through?
All you need is a draw away to Norwich, and you're in.
You're about as on the beach as on the beach could be. Now, if Spursy is real, this is the Spursiest game to Spursy.
Spursy is real, but it's not just Tottenham.
It's not this real.
It's not this. Well, no, it's just not Tottenham, right? Arsenal took it this season. Their St. Totteringham's Day died yesterday at Newcastle, and it's just chef's kiss. It's beautiful.
Okay, I'm gonna run through scores, and we have some midweek games, and then we'll go into. We don't have to do the final week, but we do have to do the midweek games. Here we go. Spurs won. We just talked about it. Their XG was 2 over Burnley. Burnley 1-1. Brighton versus Leeds. Leeds picked this one up in the 96th minute. Bedlam in the Ellen Road.
Momentarily out of the drop zone.
Yeah, momentarily. Yes, because there's more games. But Leeds do have the point they need. It's a huge point. Gerhardt's cross. He develops a cross from the corner of the box. It's incredible. I shared it with the guys. Watford are long gone and dead. Leicester win 1-5. Wolves 1-1 at Norwich. Wolves are in the battle of our two sweetheart friends. Aston Villa won. Crystal Palace won. Those teams are kind of And then my team nearly fucking blow it 2-2 in London. Now I have to worry. And then your game where you made lots of money. Everton 2, Brentford 3. Everton looked good here, but then red cards happened. Then they got another goal, but Brentford gonna Brentford, and they're really good. They get the away win. But Everton are in good shape. And then today, our friends from Arsenal lose 2-0. At Newcastle, and it's not really close. And we do have to say tomorrow, Liverpool play Southampton, which is weird. And then there's a couple of midweek games on Thursday that are makeup weeks for week 33, week 18, and week 27. Everton, Palace, Aston Villa, Burnley, Chelsea, Leicester. Officially, Chelsea have clinched the Champions League for next season. And I would like to go to the London Stadium and talk about my team. So City are limping into the finish here. And we had the great experiment of the great Cancelo at left back, Fernandinho at left center back, Laporte at right back, the other way around. Laporte at left center back, and then Zinchenko on the other side. So this is not the backline City we're hoping for against West Ham, who were really game for this game. My favorite son and yours, Mr. Jared Bowen, on the break twice, lights up City. West Ham were really good and about as bad a first half as City could play. Up front, City do their normal rotations. They basically the midfield always stays the same with De Bruyne and Silva and Rodri, and the front three just swap. So it was now the turn of Jesus, Mahrez, and Grealish to play, and they didn't really create much in the first half. And this looked like 1920 City, where we're incredible, and the second anything happens and we lose the ball and the ball's going the other way, you're like, oh fuck, this is terrible. It was Otamendi all over again.
Did you say 19-20?
Yeah.
I thought you meant I was like, 1923 Manchester City. We all remember that team.
No, I mean the City team that only had 83 points, but had a goal difference of like 80 and scored 107 goals, but somehow managed to lose 9 games, which still blows my mind because we lost to like Wolves 4 times, even though we only played them twice. Yeah, just getting killed on the break, XG through the roof. City were XG through the roof in this game. Really, second half, a massive fight back. Grealish gets one back. It was going to be the Grealish game. Usually happens. City were taking shots from outside the box, and you kind of every time it happened, I was thinking Fernandinho was going to have a company spot, and then Rodri was going to have a company spot where you need this goal to get back in it. Then we get a lucky own goal, thank God, from Kufal that City pulls level, and it looks like we're cruising. Jesus was fantastic. He's been fantastic these last 2 months. He's been probably City's best player along with Kevin De Bruyne. He draws a penalty that they aren't going to call. And by a miracle of science, VAR calls it back the other way. They tried to fuck City, but this time they couldn't do it.
That was a penalty, right?
Oh, that was a penalty twice on Sunday.
All day
and
long.
It was Sunday, so it was 2 penalties.
Let's stop here.
Yes.
Riyad Mahrez is your penalty taker.
Yes.
He's your resident penalty guy.
He's the best guy we have.
Is he? Or is he just the guy who takes them the most?
He's the best guy we have.
So you didn't feel anything?
No.
Twinning at you?
Oh, no. When I know that he takes our penalties, but when I saw his face, I was like, he wants no part of this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Like, if there was ever I was like, he was chewing his lip. I was like, this is a
disaster. During the review, I remember, I think Pep was talking to Jesus, and I was like, this makes sense. Like, he should go
he's terrible on penalties. City have a weird thing. We're bad on penalties.
No, I know. It's because you don't have a striker. But
no, it's not that. It's we don't have I'm fucking scoring these goals, guy.
See, that was De Bruyne scores.
Oh, of course. But it was Mahrez is the guy. It's weird. I can't answer it. Because De Bruyne has this weird tendency of hitting posts. But he was so hot, you'd think that he'd be the guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not overthinking it. He struck the ball well, but I mean, Fabianski is literally second all time in penalties saved in the Premier League. So we don't get it, and we draw. So what felt like a really positive point to get the comeback is a deflation because we missed a penalty. But City just have to win. So we go to the final day, and it's not going to be now Liverpool don't have to do crazy goal. They don't have to try and score goals now. They just have to hope City lose. They just have to play.
Yeah.
So, this is where we are. This is where I'm at. It's appropriate. It's 93-20 all over again. Are we going to get some 2-goal down game? It did have that feeling of being down in a game that you're supposed to win. But I mean, West Ham are not slouches. Like, Antonio was good, and they went after City's backline. Like,
they were ready though. They were that stadium was buzzing. The whole Mark Noble tribute before the game, like they were coming for you, and they let you know it.
They're not bitches. That's a good team.
Yeah,
they really, really are good, and I've liked watching them play all season. I mean, that is a team that sits behind the ball that does not feel like Burnley sitting behind the ball, right? It feels like they are threatening, and it doesn't feel like a Mourinho Chelsea team or a Mourinho United team. It's active defending.
I was gonna say they're sitting behind the ball with reckless abandon for their own health, almost, right? They're like as soon as they're waiting to springboard into attack. Whereas
they're direct, like Mikel Antonio gets the ball and they are off, right? Like I feel like Antonio and Bowen are like a shit Kane and Son in a weird way. Like if there's a
Sure.
shitty version of them, it's them. And Antonio
I'm trying to
doesn't
think of a
score
shitty
goals,
version,
but he
yeah.
does. He does. What the fuck is that? There's a weird noise. He does fuck shit up. Like he's always like bum rushing people. And Fernandinho was, God love him, was petrified. He was like, this
Yeah.
is gonna go bad for me. And they did knock him over. Fernandinho did do his Fernandinho magic where he smiles and kicks you and throws you on the ground, and he's like, "Well, I didn't do anything." But yeah,
So
Laporte, it's scary.
we've
And
got
City are going to have to win the league against Aston Villa and Ollie Watkins with those 4 fucking clowns back there.
I was gonna say, do you want to talk about, because we got the Thursday show too? Do
Yeah.
you want to go deep into a championship Sunday preview on Thursday in each game, or do you want to do that now? Or do you want to kind of keep going through what has happened and figure out where we stand currently and what that probably looks like after Sunday?
Well, I mean, I think the season's winding down, and we're both fucking pushed to the edge.
Exhausted.
Exhausted.
By the way, full stop. If you're here with us still, we fucking love you. We don't even love ourselves at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
This grind is a long one. We love everybody who's come along the way with us.
How about this though? We feel this way doing 2 games a week. What about the players? They must be just dead.
Fuck them. I'll tell you why. They get paid $200,000 a week. Okay, I don't get paid $200,000 a week.
We don't get paid anything.
I would do a show every day if we did $200,000 a week.
Now, I will be remiss. So we talked about City. It's just win or go home. That's it. And I swear to fucking Christ, if the Etihad is not loud and we don't get flags and fucking violence and flares and meeting the bus and like City need fucking Everton level, like we're going down. Like,
yeah,
just I'm perfectly willing to call out
it's a
City
coronation
fans.
day.
Yeah, like there's no reason that City can't have that same fucking level of passion. They used to have it.
Sure.
Just let's fucking go. Like Pep already called out the team. He already called out the fans. He's like, we're going to be at home with our people, and I expect it to be whatever. He's always doing that because, listen, I'm not from Manchester. I'm not from East Manchester. I don't understand it. That's a caveat, right? I don't know. But why City can't muster the same amount of doom and energy as Everton? Like, you're going to listen, Mancunians, you're going to let those scuzzy Scousers fucking be better at football than you? Go fucking set some fires. Look at Everton. They set fires every week to the point that people are like, hey,
fighting
stop.
for their lives. Look at Spurs. Spurs showed up. That was a great crowd. They were angry. There was malintent. It was awesome.
I saw a Burnley fan give a Nazi salute, but I tried to give it context.
More of a
they
Sean
were
Dyche
singing
thing.
"We Are the Yids" a lot, so I was like, well, kind of makes sense.
Burnley's more of a Sean Dyche Nazi energy.
It does have a little bit of a right-wing energy to it, a working class energy.
Yeah.
I don't think they're Nazis. Ben Mee was very cool when they flew that Burnley's for white people only, whatever, White Lives Matter. He was very cool about being like, that's not fucking cool. But yeah, Burnley, that was weird. But yeah, my team, I'm not nervous. There's no reason that Aston Villa should beat City, especially at home. But I do have fear of Fernandinho. Like, I don't care about this left foot, right foot shit. Play Ake and fucking Laporte together, or shift the whole thing over. Like, let Laporte play left back, or just not Zinchenko. Just be defensive. Get this thing done.
Is that because you don't support the Ukraine?
Yes, I don't support the Ukraine. I've never supported Ukraine. They've been Soviets their whole lives. I don't mean that, Pavlo, my friend in Ukraine. They are their own people. But the side that the Russians have has actually never been Ukrainian, but don't tell any Ukrainians that. That's kind of always been Russian-ish.
So let's talk about maybe the goal of the season at the death, Leeds and Brighton. Talk to me about your feelings through that, because we're all pulling for Leeds to pull out of this nose.
Yeah, I'm done with Burnley.
Yeah.
Claret and blue, too many claret and blue teams. We've been saying it from the beginning. So we know Leeds are in trouble. They've lost Ayling to their own stupidity, and they've lost their striker James. And they were fighting against, your favorite team and mine, the beloved and the deep and powerful Brighton. But away from home, you knew Ellen Road was going to be up for this. Laurent and Cooper were in, so that was a good sign for Leeds. And they did play. They play the three. But what I'm curious about is who played striker. So Gelhardt was playing striker along with Rafinha and Harrison. So their attack was their best attack, and their defense was their best defense. But Gelhardt is the one I want to go off on.
This is not the first time he's made a significant impact late in the game as well. He did this, I think, in like the 97th minute to tie. It was when they tied and won a game like a month and a half ago.
Yeah. I mean, he's got just the two goals. Just the two goals. They did win the Premier League Division 2 when he was there at 18 years old. That's not nothing. It's significant. He has played at Wigan, or did come from Wigan, but he's 19 years old. They've needed him. And listen, this game was nothing to write home about. It was not, they were being defensive. We know what Burnley can do. Burnley are tough, right?
Yeah.
It was 50-50 possession. They didn't have great passing accuracy. It was a war. Leeds did take shots. They had 21 shots, so they were on top and had chances. But the cross at the end of the game, it's in the right corner. Gelhardt does like 4 moves to get past Lamptey and 2 other people, and he doesn't cross it the way you would expect it. It's like a toe poke cross to the back stick for Struijk to put it home in the 92nd minute.
I did see that.
The place just went bonkers. Yeah. And Ellen Road has that. So Leeds is one of those places, dirty Leeds. They are very much a we don't like us, nobody likes us, and we don't care kind of team. And that's what you want in the Premier League. And I'm happy for Jesse Marsch. Leeds needed this game. They only have 1 game left, while both Burnley and Everton have 2 more games. Really, it's Burnley. I think Everton are pretty safe at this point. Because either one of them will take each other.
You're right. Because only one of the 3 is going down at this point.
Right. So
Everton feel good.
Yeah,
but they still need a result in their game in hand, which is Crystal Palace. And I think, well, we'll see. Maybe not. I was gonna say I think 1 point may do it, but
yeah, 1 point does it for them because their goal difference. Oh, it's not better than Burnley. Ooh.
No.
Yeah.
But it's close.
Yeah, it's close.
So one of 2 things has to happen, right? Like either they draw twice, and then they're good, or they draw and Burnley lose both games, in which case they're good, both on points and goal difference.
Right. I mean, at this point, Leeds can stay up if neither of them win.
Like
right?
This was actually interesting. So watching Burnley play Spurs, right? It's 1-0, and usually Burnley kind of sit back and try and do, basically what we were saying West Ham do. What I was curious while watching that game, Spurs did not let off the gas. They were good throughout. But also, Burnley kind of was like, you know what? Fine. We can't afford another goal, right? Like, we really, because like I said, with the goal difference, if let's just say Spurs win that game 2-0, then it's minus 19. That it sounds silly, but this is the margins.
Yeah, for them the margins are very, very close. Like they can't give up extra goals. But I mean, if they're going to tie with Leeds, they're fine. It's not, but it's the goal difference against Everton that matters, right?
Right. I don't think they're looking. I mean, for the sake of that.
Yeah, they couldn't get blown out. They need those 2 goals.
Exactly, and it was interesting watching, and this is a good segue into Everton and Brentford, which was a very entertaining but not good game.
Well, that's just Everton at this point.
Yeah. But like you said, Goodison Park was going fucking bananas from the jump. Anthony Gordon was like hopped up on steroids. He was everywhere early in this one.
Yep.
They get the early goal, and all hell breaks loose in Goodison at first in a good way, and then I think it was on 18 minutes.
Yeah.
I just don't understand what's going on here.
Brathwaite, he's 19 years old. That's what's happening.
He's
an Evertonian. Like, what is he supposed to do?
Yeah. I mean, my heart went out for him, but I also, like I said, had a lot of money on Brentford. So at that point, I put more money on Brentford.
Listen, and it was his third start of the season. Like,
but so it was a matter of time. Like, they give Coleman the own goal on 37, where Wissa actually had a great piece. Wissa and Tony and Eriksson were buzzing. And by the way, Mbeumo still fucking stinks, but Wissa is a really good winger to pair with Tony.
Yeah.
And so basically one of them is always open when Christian Eriksen has the ball, which is bad news.
Yeah.
They're and really so, good, they only get one. They should have had two, maybe three. And just before halftime, Richarlison he's, by the way, diving like it is his job, which frankly, it
is his job.
It is his job. He draws a penalty on Beck Sorensen, who had a horrible first half. He had a yellow card. He had a couple of big mistakes.
Yeah.
He could have been sent off for this as well. But it was one of those where I could tell the ref was like, listen, we fucked you guys. I had to give you that red card, but this one's on the house, essentially, right? Like, so they go up 2-1. But the thing is that now they're still down 10 men, and Brentford are still chomping at the bit. They had 2 goals in 3 minutes, one from Wissa, as I mentioned.
Yeah, that was nice.
I believe directly from Eriksson. And then Rico Henry 3 minutes later puts it away for Brentford. And I don't see any redeeming qualities in Everton, and yet I'm still pulling for them. Like I want them.
Well, I mean, and then we have to remember Rondon gets a red at the end too.
No, I know. Well, that was okay. I watched it in real time, and my brother and I were talking.
Is that a straight red? Is he out for the rest of the season?
It is a straight red.
So he's gone too now.
Yeah, and he went in rash, and at full speed, I was like, I don't think that's a red, and I'm on delay all the time, and my brother goes, No, just wait, and they show the replay. I'm like, ooh. Like, you can't do that, dude. What the fuck are you doing? Yeah, and like, when did he come on?
The 84th minute. Yeah, he was on for 4 minutes.
Oh God, that was hysterical.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, Everton are close. I'm sure they wanted this game. I think the emotion may have gotten to young Mr. Jared Braithwaite. That's spelled wrong with an A, 2 A's. I don't know what he's up to. But yeah, I mean, Tony sold it. He did draw it, but I mean, he did get tangled up. I think that's one of those things where it's hard as a young player in a relegation fight to have a ball go over the top and to kind of have the presence of mind to be like, I'm the last man. I can't touch this dude. Yeah. I've got to let him score or let the keeper let him miss, right? Let the keeper make a move.
If Tony goes in there, he scores, right? And it's 1-1. From an Everton, and in hindsight, being
from an Everton perspective, you've got to let it go, right? But that's veteran stuff. You got to learn. That's hard to know.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously, I think you'd rather give the lead and keep the manpower.
Oh, for sure.
100%. But yeah, it's once that happened, the writing seemed to be on the wall, despite the Richarlison, penalty at halftime, right on the stroke of halftime, and then like I said, they get their 2 in the second half, and Everton are no longer safe. They were for 2 different spurts in that game, probably equally like about 15 minutes long. They felt
draw
like
would have been perfect for them. Yeah, that draw really screwed them. Not getting a draw, and they were on track for the draw. You would have expected them to get a draw, but now they have to fight they have an extra game, right? So Everton are playing Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace don't have anything to play for, and I believe it is another game at Goodison. So you're going to have the same raucous atmosphere. It's actually going to be giving Palace kind of a taste of their own medicine because it's a night game. Selhurst Park is miserable to go to and win at. So I do like Everton to win that game, get clear, and then going into Sunday, it's very possible that it's just Leeds and Burnley. And 2 men enter and 1 man leaves.
Yeah, but if Burnley win at Everton, I think it's a Burnley win puts them on 37. Then, oh man, Everton.
And here's another question:
Everton are not safe yet,
right? And so by the time we talk to you next, the midweek, the Thursday games will have been played.
Yeah.
Here's a question going into that: Aston Villa plays Burnley on Thursday, and then Manchester City on Sunday. So they have a say in both ends of the table.
Yeah, whose lives do they want to destroy?
Exactly. How much of a lineup does Steven Scouse Gerrard put out against Burnley on Thursday? They've got nothing to play for. They're not locked into 14th. They can get as many as.
Here's the thing, though. Gerrard's competitive. He understands. They'll play to win. They'll play to win. That
Are
doesn't.
you serious? Are you sure? Because he's competitive. I agree. But if he can, in fact, wink, wink, get his name on the title in Liverpool, right?
I'm sure. Listen. Either
He'll play to
way,
win. He'll
he
play to
wants
win.
to win all the games. He's not gonna. He's gonna want to win to beat Burnley so that Everton. Well, you know what I mean. Like he's not gonna tank any of the games.
I'm not saying he's going to tank. What I'm saying is he's going to prioritize. Right.
Oh,
I think that
they're not. They're not good enough to do shit like that. They'll just lose.
I don't think he cares. Like I would you?
I think if you are Steven Gerrard and you are a change agent, you cannot signal to your players, especially if next season, they might be like, hey, we're going to Europe. We fucking signed Philip Coutinho. They really did for 20 million out of the whatever. You can't say to your players, oh, we're resting. You go, you're fucking tired? I'm fucking tired. You're playing both these fucking games. I don't care.
I know, but
yeah.
And the other thing is, by the time this game kicks off, Southampton will likely have lost to Liverpool, which means you can't go lower than you are now. So,
yeah,
I mean, anything you get that's above 14th is found money. Literally.
Yeah. But the thing is, I think like this changes he would make are like, oh, Buendia over Coutinho, or they'll mix and match. They won't play them both together. They'll flip things there. He'll get Ramsey minutes again after he's missed a few games. He's definitely going to be playing. That Mings and McGinn and Watkins and Louise and Konza, those guys are playing all the games. There's just no, they don't have enough.
It's just rare for a mid to lower table team
to have that much say.
Well, they have that much say, but have two important games in a week. They just don't. They don't. Play.
No, they never do.
So this is interesting where they're not important for the club, but they're wildly important for the table. And as it pertains to Lampard, where his heartstrings are still in Merseyside, I'd be surprised. But you make a good point about Everton being in the balance in the other end. I think that Liverpool has a little brother kind of feeling for Everton in the sense that
no, they hate each other.
I don't think Liverpool hates them that much. I don't.
Well, sorry, I don't think there isn't like deep, full.
It's not Tottenham Arsenal, right? Like
no. It's not that. It's the friendly derby mostly.
It's the friendly derby because they're never. I mean, they have been similar, but like generally speaking, Everton have never been punching at the weight Liverpool.
Not in recent history, no. But historically, they have been. They've been pretty close.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we'll see. I mean, I just don't. I think Gerrard probably really likes that his team is in the spotlight. I think that he's competitive. I think that he knows that this is one of those things where, as a manager, you have got to be on the level, right? You can't be like, oh, I want this, I want that. You have to be like, this is my team. And he keeps reiterating it. Listen, Klopp signed his deal. He's not getting that fucking Liverpool job for 5 years if he gets it ever. And he has got to become someone who gets to a level. It might be an FA Cup. It might be a League Cup. It might be challenging for top places. He's got to be in a place where people go, you know what? Steven Gerrard deserves that Liverpool job. And so these are the moments that I think he has to separate himself and be like, I got to let all that shit go. And my team is going to come and fight to win. We're going to fucking relegate Everton and we're going to fucking knock down City. Not because it's Liverpool, but because we're Aston Villa. And this is my fucking team. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, I did it again. I got myself all jazzed up. I'm ready to go. See, I get fucking football leaves me, and then I talk about it, and I'm like, yes, I'm fucking back. Let's go. God damn it.
It's the Pacific time zone, really. That's what's getting you the energy there. So speaking of challenging for top places, I have going back to the Coach of the Year laugher about Arteta to start the show. Eddie Howe has a say in this thing. He's not going to win it.
For sure. He should.
Since he came in.
They were winless.
Newcastle are 7th in the table since he came in as head coach. 1 point behind Manchester United since November 8th. I looked this up. By the way, there's like an Ipswich Town fucking Yeah, there's like an Ipswich Town site that allows you to see the date ranges. Like you just go to any date in the table. It's fucking
Oh, have you seen
amazing.
this other Twitter account called like the Other 14 that just does the table of without the top 6 anything? It's
Nice,
awesome.
nice, nice.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, since November 8th, they're 11-9 and with 5 draws. And it's good for a European spot. If the table bore it out after that much.
Are we saying it here that Eddie Howe should have got the Man United job instead of Ten Hag? I have some theories. I'm still stuck on Graham Potter. When is he going to become the Tottenham manager?
No, he's not, because the actual coach of the year is Antonio Conte. For the same reason. Since Conte came in, Spurs are third in the table.
Which is probably where they're
overachieving with that fucking squad. Come on.
I don't know, man.
Romero was hurt for most of that time. So how the fuck did he do it with the center backs he has? Ben Davies? He's got Ben Davies and Eric Dyer back there basically the whole time. And Sanchez.
When Dyer's out, they stink.
I know. No, and he's had a great season. But Ben Davies and Dave Sanchez are not good. Sanchez is I would say he is a serviceable off the bench center back. Like, play him every once in a while. He's a squad player. Fine. Ben Davies is not. And he's been a mainstay the whole time. Reguilon is not. He's probably a squad player. But Sessegnon has had a resurgence over Conte.
Dude, can he please learn
Matt Doherty was unbelievable before his injury. And then, of course, the new signings, Betancourt and
they made a difference.
Huge difference, right? And then you've got Son and Kane back off the mat. Sonny, by the way, I don't know the status of Mo Salah going into the last 2 games, but I would imagine with the Champions League final, they're probably
he's hurt. We didn't cover the big event of the weekend, the 0-0 FA Cup final.
Oh God,
I didn't.
So right, he got hurt in that, and it sounds like he's going to miss probably the last 2 games
tomorrow.
At least tomorrow. He's only 1 goal up on Son. By the way,
I loved the fighting. The getting pissed off at Conte was amazing.
Yeah.
Sonny kept being like, this fucking guy.
He's only one goal behind.
You can win it.
And the tiebreaker is non-penalty goals. I believe Sonny has 0 because we have that Harry Kane fella. And Salah has 5 of his 22 goals. I looked it up. You know how many penalties he's drawn? 2, which means he should be on 19 goals. This is bullshit. That should be the stat. If you, all right, what I'll say is this.
Well, in some circles, drawing a penalty should be an assist at the minimum.
Well, I'll give you the goal. If you are the penalty taker and you're like, you don't get to benefit from a random ass like handball on the side edge of the box, right? Like, I'm sorry, that's not going under your ledger. It is, but the golden boot should be non-penalty goals or non-penalty, like a net of penalties that you basically, if you draw it and you hit it, it counts. Fine. But if you don't and you hit it, it counts under non-penalty goals.
Listen,
it Sonny's is up 3 on him.
It is odd. It is odd that these penalties are out here. Wow, I didn't even look at this. City have a chance to score 100 goals for the season. They're on 96. Jeez, that's a fuck ton. They just fucking put the pedal to the metal and just
fun if they got there.
Against Villa and just drop a 6 on them.
Hey, Steve.
You guys were worried?
You're from Liverpool, and they just like fucking suplex him right through a table.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scared. I'm nervous because a game is a game. But to be fair, City are minus 1,000 to win the league.
Yeah,
and I believe Liverpool are plus 600.
Well, plus 600. After they win tomorrow, those odds will get better, right? But like,
you know what? They got to win 2 games, and City have to lose.
Yeah.
So what are the odds of them winning 2 games and City losing?
Don't say that. Don't
not
say
praying.
that.
I'm praying to the only gods I've ever known.
I've been watching the Always Sunny podcast, and I cut that. So we're gonna start doing that. Like anytime you start jinxing yourself, like cut that.
Yeah. So do we? I mean, we probably haven't done this enough because we're not like take merchants. But I did notice that the boys on Sky, Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, did their teams of the season.
Oh, we do have to do that.
That did come out. Harry Kane is up front with Son and Salah. In the middle, there's some debate for De Bruyne, Silva, and Rice. I don't like Silva and Rice. And then at the back, Van Dijk, Matip, Cancelo, Trent is sort of the consensus there. But
I don't hate any of that.
Yeah, I don't hate any of it either. The tricky part is, as a City fan, Rodri has been incredible, just holding the team together. But I'm gonna go pull up the exact things once I get to the Squeaky.
I think Rice is a fair shout.
I don't think Rice makes it because he's just not good enough. So here's Gary Neville's. Gary Neville's is a back.
Yeah, again.
Gary Neville's back four is Walker, Diaz, Van Dijk, Robertson, which is crazy. De Bruyne, Rodri, Silva, Salah, Kane, Son. He's obviously. I can see Walker. Diaz has not been good. I don't know what game he's watching. And then Jamie Carragher's, who's usually the better of the two in terms of analytics. Like Carragher really loves watching football and just watches everything. I don't think Gary Neville does. Carragher's back four is a little too Liverpool heavy. It's Alexander-Arnold, Matip, Van Dijk, Cancelo. In the middle, De Bruyne, Rice, Silva, Bernardo Silva. Salah, Kane, Son. The front three, I don't think there's an argument. There's nobody.
Yeah, no, it's not close.
I mean, the only person who could get a shout, maybe if you feel frisky, is like Bowen or Jota.
Well, I was going to say Jota.
Or Mane, like one of these guys.
No, but Jota's the pick, I think, there. I think Robertson has a shout in the
over
back.
Cancelo? No way.
Well, he's got 10 assists, right? So I think it's close. I'm not saying over Cancelo. I'm saying,
it's tough because it's only 11, right? It's really hard.
Really, for the sake of objectivity, you can't put Trent and you can't have a full Liverpool back line.
Yeah, you can't. Right, you can't have. You're right. You can't have a full Liverpool back line when the best defense in the league, in the top 5 leagues, is City's. That doesn't make sense. Like, but then it's hard to pick a center back out of the back line of City because they kind of mix and match all the time. So it is difficult. But if there is one defensive player who is defensive on City's back line, the best defender of the group is Walker. So, but you can't put him in over Alexander-Arnold because he's the greatest winger in the league. So it is. I understand why it's hard. Matip is the one that gets weird. You want to kind of have like a back four of Alexander-Arnold, Walker, Van Dijk, and Cancelo. That would be what you'd really want to do if you got really loose. But do you have any argument against Kane? What other striker would be in the middle there? Nobody, right?
Jota.
Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is that he's closing, so it's like watching the Kentucky Derby and like the favorite comes gallivanting on the outside. You're like, oh, there's fucking Harry Kane again, right? Like, that's how this season has sort of felt watching him. Horrible start. He wasn't even there. And yet at the end of the day, he's still fourth in goals. And the interesting thing here is that not once did we even flinch and bring up anybody from United, much less Cristiano Ronaldo.
That is it did go on Twitter. The argument is that Ronaldo go there, but there's no way.
Okay.
The team is terrible and he does nothing else.
Yeah. I mean, look, I won't argue that Cristiano Ronaldo has a shout here.
He does.
But I think I'd rather have Jota's body of work than Ronaldo's. And that's
I think the difficulty is narrative wise, those goals that he scored for United, essentially that team finishes in the bottom half of the league.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right. And he had moments like momenty moments where you're just like, I can't believe Ronaldo. Like he's got 18 goals. They needed those 18.
Oh, if
like,
you look
all
at
of them.
How many points his goals won them, right? Like I remember seeing a stat, like I don't know, it was in like November from a few years back. They're like, actually, Harry Kane's goals haven't meant anything. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Right. Now, the argument I have
those goals counted, every single one of them.
The argument I have with Kane and Son is basically like the only reason Son is there is because of Kane.
It's because of Kane.
Right. And yeah, sure, Kane only has 13 goals, but he's playing De Bruyne's role and his.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So, Kevin De Bruyne is there because he's just so dynamic, especially in the last 5 weeks. But he did have some down periods. And
right. That's what I mean. Like,
yeah, it's tough.
The body of work is tough to find because, like we said, when we're tired, this has been 7 months. I don't remember how Kevin De Bruyne played in November because he was okay. Like,
Yeah, but in that period of the season,
hurt.
Bernardo Silva was incredible. But if you're a City fans know Silva has not been great. Sorry, he's been workmanlike in the last 2 months, but not like dynamic.
Look, if you want to make a hot takey best
exactly.
11, you can put Christian Eriksen in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I look at a spot in the best 11 as like an MVP argument. It's not necessarily, and this is why Ronaldo doesn't get in. It's not because they're who are the best players, it's who the most valuable players.
You know what you really need? This is what they really need. And I do have them, I think. It needs to be like the NBA. They need like first team, second team.
Sure. Yeah. I like
a second team 11 gets more fun, honestly.
Yeah. Honestly, that would need some homework.
Right. That would be good, right? Because then you're like, Odegaard, Bowen,
Pascal Gross.
Where's Norgard? He's the best holding midfielder in the middle of the division, right?
Sure.
Like the guy led the league in tackles and assists.
And by the way, speaking of, not a mention of a single Chelsea player. Does Mason Mount have an argument?
Right, exactly. Right, because then how does Rudiger not get in the second team all defense, right?
Yeah.
Like, do they have? It gets really interesting, right? Do you get all defense? Do you do? It would be. I think you could do 3 for sure, but there's only 20 teams with 11 players.
You wouldn't want to do more than 2. Think about it. The NBA is 31, 32 teams.
Yeah, but it's only 5 players, so you need 3 teams. But
right. Sure.
Right.
But it would be tough, though.
It would be tough.
I would stop at 2. But
I think they do have second team, but they should fucking have better names. Like team of the season sounds so lame. I know they do tots. I know like that's a FIFA thing, but
yeah.
I love all defense and all NBA. It's just all Premier League 11. It's just a great.
Who was the guy on the Spurs that was on it every year and he was just miserable to play against in the playoffs? Like
Tim
Bowen?
Duncan?
No.
Oh yeah, Jared Bowen. Yeah, I mean,
sorry, that's Bruce Bowen.
Bruce Bowen. Yeah,
because he cheated. I wanted to say Bruce Bowen. You know what? He did good. I loved him. I love that.
You loved a shit. He was a shithouser basketball player.
He was like if Højbjerg could figure it out.
He's kind of like Pat Beverly now, who's this scrappy junk dog who's like, I had to play in fucking Russia. You're gonna tell me about fucking working hard? I played in Russia, bitch.
You know what I was thinking? Here's a slightly, I suppose, spicy take.
Spice.
If Leeds were to go down, I might put a mortgage payment on them to win the championship next year because they're gonna get. You think they're just gonna crater?
No, not that they're gonna crater, but the championship is too fucking hard. You can't fuck with it.
But think about why they're in the position they are. They have been
injured.
Decimated.
Yeah.
Decimated. You're going to put Bamford and James and Ayling and all the guys who are out currently back on that club with Rafinha. Maybe they sell Rafinha.
In that case, he'll be like,
in that case, I hold on.
Buy
him.
You mentioned you did mention the championship, which means I have to go to my children.
Let's go to I actually saw Nottingham Forest or
Yeah, no, it was Luton Town versus our friends from Huddersfield Town. These are now when we're in the championship, there's no longer cities, it's all towns. Everything gets a little smaller.
And a forest.
And a forest, right? Exactly. So Huddersfield Town are now punched their ticket to the final.
To Wembley.
And they will face the winner of Sheffield versus Nottingham Forest. Forest had a 2-goal lead in their game, but Sander Berg pulled one back in the 91st minute.
I remember that name.
He was good. He's actually the reason why Sheffield went down because he missed the whole season and they spent like $50 million on him. So he is he is like a lesser country Champions League player. So he's like I'm on the best team in Denmark. I'm in the Champions League level player.
Yeah.
But he's playing for Sheffield. He was one of Chris Wilder's better signings.
Mm-hmm.
But that goal puts the fear of God into the Forest fans who are now in year 17 in the wilderness and have not fared well in the playoffs. You want to talk about typical City and feeling fear. You want to talk about a broken fan base. Go find a fucking Forest blog and you'll be like, oh, wow, this is a place I don't want to go. This is like therapy. These people are like, They're in the Appalachians. They're on fucking OxyContin. They're not doing well. They need help.
I look at the squad, the list of clubs in the championship. You lose Fulham, you lose Bournemouth. They're coming up. Obviously, Watford and Norwich are going down. You're going to tell me that Leeds aren't going to kick the fucking shit out of everybody in this division. I understand it's tough. I'm not saying it's not. Tough. I don't know enough about the championship to say this.
I will tell you the teams that
Leeds are so much better.
Yeah. I'll tell you the teams that I keep an eye on that are good and have a good manager. I would bet on Middlesbrough being close because Chris Wilder, second season, he's a builder. He's done it with Sheffield. The teams that come down usually have money, which is why you see Huddersfield is in the playoffs and is close. They were recently in the league. It's not a great team, but whatever.
But they're hanging around.
Right. And then I think Forest, if they don't make it, they've been pushing. They might have to sell their best player. So their best player is a young man of 20 named Brennan Johnson. Keep an eye on him. 16-10 in the fucking division. So 16 goals, 10 assists. You're talking about a guy who comes up and completely transforms your team at 20 years old. Yeah. Forest, if they don't make it, they may have to sell him or they may go again. Hopefully they can hold on to him. He's 20 years old. He shouldn't want to come up. He should want to stay with Forest and try and bring them up. But their coach, Steve Cooper, incredible job. They were dead and buried under Houghton. He completely changed the team. Forest has been the best team in the league since they changed their manager. It's just it was a bridge too far for them to catch Bournemouth, who collapsed somewhat down the stretch, but not really. They finished second in the league by 8 points. But right now, Forest are the biggest team in that division and have been for 15 years. So they've got to pull this out. If they're going against Huddersfield are not good relative to – they've got a 30-goal difference between them. Like Forest are just way better.
Yeah, so no, I'm looking at that.
They're the favorites to go up at this point through the playoff. Right. Luton, heroic, they're gone, but it's all about whether Forest can make it.
Yeah.
Because getting Forest into the Premier League, you want to talk about a shot of history into your arm. That is just like, whoa, you know, we get a historic club. We're getting Brian Clough. We're getting we're getting that fucking logo with a tree on it, which is the greatest thing in the whole fucking world.
Yeah.
And we're getting, fucking Robin Hood. I mean, it's Nottingham. It's the whole thing.
I'm looking at it. I'm excited for next year. Having Fulham and Bournemouth already in the league. 74 goals for Bournemouth, 106 for Fulham. They're not going to run. We've said this on the show. We're going to have 20 real football teams. Hopefully, assuming Burnley goes down.
I know Scott Parker left Fulham, went to Bournemouth, and is going to bring them up, which is kind of dirty. But that I don't trust him. I don't think he's a particularly good.
I get that. I'm not going to argue that necessarily either. But I would expect
Bournemouth to go back down. Honestly,
but he's going to play attractive football. Interesting. Speaking of Bournemouth, they're going to have Eddie Howe at Newcastle taking on Scott Parker's Bournemouth, which I find very, very intriguing for next year. That's going to be fun.
Championship. When I know, I will make sure. I'm sure by Thursday we'll know when the championship game is for who's going up. It's a single game playoff. It is probably it is the most valuable football game in the world. You win, you are on track. It transforms your club, and you are on track for possibly $200 million at least, right? 180 per season plus whatever parachute payments. I would expect, honestly, if Burnley go down, they would be the ones that I would see scrapping their way back up because that team's tough, even if they're fucking shitty.
I don't know what Burnley means anymore without Dyche, and I think that they have a bit of an unpredictable identity crisis themselves. This is going to be a huge summer for them. Because
we don't know if they go down, they could collapse because
they could, but the point that I'm making is like they need to take that parachute money and be like, okay, everybody on the fucking pitch is 36 years old and pasty as shit. So like we need some reinforcements. We need to be able to stem the tide and say the Burnley that lived in the Premier League for almost a decade doing this is dead. So we either need to get a
maybe
new
they
crop.
need to stay down there and consolidate and just be like, we're going to finish 10th.
That's entirely
then
possible.
6th, then 3rd, and come back up.
That's entirely possible. Right. And if that's the case, then they need a new crop of foot soldiers, and they're going to need some time to find them. Or they're going to try and throw a bunch at the wall and try and get another Cornet and have some players.
Well, Cornet will leave. He'll just go.
No. What I'm saying is have either they keep him and build around him, or they replace him, or do their best to replace him. Yeah. So I'm very interested in if Burnley goes down, what that ends up meaning for them and what they look like going into next year in the championship. So
Leeds. I mean, it's existential to go down. It just is.
It is.
And we have to deal with it every year, which
but
sucks.
Is Patrick Bamford going to leave Leeds? That's my point. Like, I
don't think he's good. I think he might be just injured.
Okay, but if Alexander Mitrovic can score 40 goals in the championship, fucking Patrick Bamford's got 35.
They spent a lot of money. A lot. Harry Wilson. No, Fulham. A lot of money.
Oh yeah. No, I understand. But what I'm saying is
10 times more than anyone in the division.
You're taking them and you're taking Bournemouth out of the league. What I'm saying
No, I understand. Somebody has to win.
Somebody has to win. And Leeds are assuming Rafinha, which is probably a bad assumption, right? He will be sold if they go down. But even without that, you still have more than enough to win promotion, I think. I don't think you're in the playoffs if you're Leeds. That's my point, is that if you're Leeds, you're like, Jesse March stays with you. Hey, we're going to be back in a year. I'm not worried about it for a minute. Here's where our plan is. Here's where we're going to go. He's been inspirational.
It's very Ted Lasso. Yeah, for sure.
It is. Damn it.
Yeah. Anyway.
What else you got?
I think we covered everything. I mean, we've almost covered all the results aside from like your Leicesters and your Wolves. So who cares about that? Let's just sum it up. We've got a weekend. We've got a couple games. We got Liverpool tomorrow, and then we have a bunch of Thursday games, mostly involving the relegation battle, especially Everton and Burnley playing Villa and I don't even remember who Everton's playing respectively.
Everton, Villa. They're playing Villa.
Right.
No,
Burnley are playing Villa.
Our brains are broken.
It's okay. And then we've got the final. We go on Thursday. We do the final fucking weekend of the season. I will give some house cleaning. We'll probably do the Champions League final, and then we got to take a break because
we do.
We're going to take like 2 months off, or a month, at least a month.
We'll figure it out. Figure it out, but.
Because the season's going to come right back in. Then the World Cup's going to come in. It's going to be November before we're going to be like, what? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And then I'm going to move. I've got to move on Thursday. So
there you go.
I got to, oh shit. So maybe there's an episode missing there. Anyway, we'll figure it out.
All right.
I'm going to be doing it from the attic or the garage again.
All right. The Anne Frank edition.
Nice.
Right. And that's it.
Oh, yes! That was the Squeaky Bum Time Podcast with Mike Salerno and Laurent Cortines.
You're going to have to whisper. You're going to have to talk about like this the whole time.
Sports Network. We record on Tuesdays and Fridays with or without Anne Frank. So be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast so you never miss an episode.
And you always stay to the end.
On Apple, please rate and review the show because I and Frank could not agree or
always stay to the end. It's when our best jokes come in.